A millionaire caught his maid's daughter dancing with his paralyzed little girl. For most people, it might have been a heartwarming moment, two children bonding despite differences. But for Jonathan Hale, a man whose wealth and pride towered higher than the walls of his mansion, it was something else. What began as an innocent friendship would soon unravel into a storm of prejudice, humiliation, and choices that could never be undone. Because sometimes, injustice doesn't come with fists. It comes with silence, with rejection, with a look that says you don't belong here. And when Jonathan saw them together that day, what he did shocked everyone. Jonathan Hale was a man who owned everything. Towering skyscrapers in the city, fleets of luxury cars, and a mansion that gleamed like a palace. Yet inside that mansion lived a secret he tried to hide. His daughter, Emily. Emily was 12, confined to a wheelchair after an accident that had taken away her ability to walk. Doctors said she might never move her legs again. While Jonathan spent his days in meetings and charity galas, Emily spent hers in silence. Her world was polished marble floors, tall windows, and the echo of loneliness. Her only companion was her nurse, until one day, Maria arrived. Maria was the maid's daughter, barely 13, with second-hand shoes and clothes worn thin. She came after school to wait for her mother, who worked in the mansion. While waiting, Maria often peeked into the vast living room where Emily sat. At first, they exchanged only glances. Then Maria smiled. Then she waved. And slowly Emily's silence cracked. Soon the two girls were inseparable in those short hours. Maria showed Emily videos of dances from her school. Emily clapped, laughed, and sometimes tried to move her arms to the rhythm. For the first time in years, joy returned to her face. But joy has enemies. Jonathan noticed his daughter's laughter, but he also noticed who was making her laugh. And in his world, the daughter of a maid had no right to stand beside the daughter of a millionaire. Something dark began to stir. It started small. Jonathan would pass through the hallway and see Emily and Maria together. His jaw would tighten. He never said a word, but the silence was heavier than shouting. One evening, Maria showed Emily a simple dance routine. She moved gracefully, twirling and stepping lightly across the polished floor. Emily clapped, her laughter ringing through the cold mansion halls. But when Jonathan entered, the air froze. He stared at Maria, not as a child, but as an intruder. His voice cut like glass. "Maria, go help your mother." From that day, rules appeared. Maria was no longer allowed near the living room. She was told to wait in the kitchen. If she stepped beyond, the staff whispered that Mr. Hale's temper would ignite. Yet children don't understand barriers built by pride. Emily began wheeling herself to the kitchen just to see Maria. Their friendship grew stronger, hidden in corners, stolen in minutes, until one Friday. The mansion was quiet. Jonathan was away on business, or so everyone thought. Maria tiptoed into the living room, music playing softly from her old phone. She danced. Emily clapped along, her eyes sparkling with life. Then the door opened. Jonathan stepped in. He stood frozen, his sharp blue eyes narrowing at the sight, his fragile daughter laughing, the maid's daughter dancing beside her. For a moment, the world held its breath. Would he smile at this bond? Would he see the healing in his daughter's joy? He did not. His voice thundered through the room. "Stop!" Emily flinched. Maria froze mid-step. Jonathan's anger spilled out, not just at Maria, but at her very existence inside his world. He accused her of disrespect, of crossing lines, of knowing her place. Tears filled Maria's eyes. She tried to apologize, but he silenced her with a glare so cold it could break glass. That night, Maria's mother was called into his office. The maid emerged, pale, trembling. Maria was no longer welcome in the mansion. Emily begged. She cried until her voice broke. But Jonathan's decision was final. Maria vanished from Emily's world, and with her, so did Emily's laughter. Weeks passed. The mansion grew quieter than ever. Emily stopped smiling. She refused meals. Nurses reported she was losing weight, her spirit dimming like a candle in the wind. Jonathan tried to distract her with gifts, new toys, expensive tutors, even entertainers brought into the home, but nothing worked. One stormy evening, Jonathan walked past Emily's room. Through the crack of the door, he saw her wheelchair turned toward the window, her small frame trembling. She was listening to the faint sound of music from her phone, the same song Maria had danced to. In that moment, Jonathan realized what he had done. His wealth could buy anything, except the joy his daughter had found in friendship. But pride is a cruel master. Instead of apologizing, Jonathan tried to erase Maria's memory. He forbade staff from mentioning her name. He replaced Emily's belongings, redecorated her room, changed everything, hoping to fill the emptiness with luxury. It only deepened the wound. One night, Emily collapsed. Doctors rushed in. They said her health was deteriorating, not from her condition but from heartbreak. Jonathan's empire stood tall outside his mansion, but inside, his daughter was fading. The truth was unavoidable. He hadn't saved Emily from the world. He had imprisoned her in loneliness, and when he thought of Maria, the little girl he had cast out, his chest tightened with a guilt that would never leave him. Jonathan Hale, the man who conquered cities, had destroyed the one thing he should have protected, his daughter's happiness. Months later, Jonathan made a rare choice. He found Maria and her mother living in a cramped apartment on the edge of the city. They were surprised, even fearful, when he appeared at their door. He did not come with bodyguards or arrogance. He came with trembling hands, asking if Maria would visit Emily once more. Maria hesitated, but Emily's health was deteriorating. When she returned to the mansion, Emily's face lit up with a smile that had been gone for too long. Tears streamed down her cheeks as Maria danced again, twirling to the same soft song. For the first time, Jonathan saw it not as disrespect, but as healing. And yet, the damage was done. Emily's condition had worsened beyond repair. She grew weaker each day until one morning she never woke up again. Jonathan was shattered. His empire meant nothing. His fortune could not bring back his child. At her funeral, Maria stood silently, tears rolling down her face. Jonathan finally understood. The girl he had rejected had given his daughter more happiness in a few months than he had in years. Racism, pride, and prejudice had stolen time he could never reclaim. Jonathan Hale was left with an empty mansion echoing with regret, and as the world looked at him, a powerful billionaire, they never saw the truth. But the greatest injustice doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it comes from the very people who should have protected us most. So tell me, if you had all the power, all the wealth, and all the pride, would you choose it over love, or would you risk it all just to keep a smile alive?